All right, hello again. I'm Donna Riley, the Kamyar Haghighi Head of the School of Engineering Education, carrying on from David. And I now have the great privilege of queuing up the actors for what we have all been looking forward to, Apollo 11, the original adaptation for the stage by Richard Zmuda. And we are lucky enough to have Richard here with us tonight. So Richard, if you could maybe stand up and be recognized. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Tonight's production is by the College of Liberal Arts, Department of Theater, and directed by Rich Dionne, who, Rich is back there. Rich teaches and mentors our theater engineering students, and we couldn't be more thankful to him and this unique collaboration with him and with the college. And I want to thank the IDE 487 class, who has been here working very hard behind the scenes to make this all come off. They've been dogging every logistical detail, and I understand that this is part of your leadership class. This is about leadership development. You're doing an awesome job, so we just want to thank you. So one last important announcement. In your program, you will note that IDE alumnus Gary Horlocker is listed as reading from Michael Collins, and Rich Dionne will be reading in his place. Unfortunately, Gary was unable to join us this weekend due to the tropical storm that flooded Houston. So best laid plans tend to just go awry, but the show must go on, and we're very grateful that Rich is doing that. So, so we're bummed to miss him. And Gary is a flight director at NASA, for those of you who don't know. So he literally is Houston on the day-to-day, and so we thought it would be so apropos for him to be here with us. So we miss him, but Gary is, I understand, watching from home. So hi, Gary, and hopefully safe and sound. So we just wanted to say hello, Gary, and we miss you. So with that, I will leave the stage for the main event. So thanks, everybody.
Apollo 11, an adaptation for stage by Richard Zmuda. It is July 1969. Almost 7 years ago, President John F. Kennedy stood in a stadium at Rice University in Texas and told the gathered crowd that Americans would land on the moon. Astronauts Buzz Aldrin, Neil Armstrong, and Michael Collins are on the cusp of delivering on that promise. Their joint spacecraft, the Eagle landing module and the Columbia command module, whip around the surface of the moon at a velocity of 3,600 miles per hour. This moment is the result of work of dozens of astronauts before them, hundreds of technicians and controllers at Cape Canaveral in Florida and Mission Control in Houston, and thousands of engineers, designers, laborers, and manufacturers from states across the country. Aldrin, Armstrong, and Collins have flown this mission many times in simulations. Just like actors on stage, the astronauts have practiced each act of the mission, each flip switch and push button, until the process has become second nature, part of their minds and bodies. They have practiced for eventual mishaps, learning backup and abort procedures designed to save the mission and their lives. Like a live performance, not everything can be predicted. Their spacecraft and their equipment have been built specifically for this mission and never flown before. The astronauts' ability to improvise will mean the difference between success and failure. Aldrin and Armstrong stand shoulder to shoulder in a cabin roughly 15 feet square and 9 feet high as they complete final checks before separating from the Columbia and Collins descend to the lunar surface. Scene 1. The Eagle has landed.
You are go for separation, Columbia?
Okay, Eagle, you guys take care.
See you later.
I think you've got a fine-looking machine there, Eagle.
Columbia, Houston, we're standing by. Over. Columbia, Houston, over.
Houston, Columbia, reading you loud and clear. How me?
Raj, 5 by Mike. How did the lunar module separation go? Over.
Everything's going just swimmingly. It was beautiful.
Great. We're standing by to hear from Eagle.
All right, he's coming along.
We copy. Out. And Columbia, Houston, we expect to lose your high-gain antenna sometime during the power descent to the moon surface. Over.
Columbia, Roger. You don't much care, do you?
No, sir.
Houston, Eagle, how do you read?
We're standing by for your burn report for lunar module separation. Over.
Roger, the burn was on time. The residuals before nulling minus 0.1, minus 0.4, minus 0.1, X and Y null to 0.
Why such a large burn?
Houston loses Eagle's radio signal.
Columbia, Houston, we lost all data with Eagle. Please have him reacquire on the high-gain antenna. Over.
Eagle, this is Columbia. Houston would like you to reacquire on the high-gain antenna. They've lost data with you. Over. Eagle, did you copy Columbia?
Eagle, Houston, did you call?
Eagle, Houston, Houston, Eagle, how do you read now?
Raj, 5 by Neil. We copied up to the abort guidance system residuals. Would you please repeat the AGS residuals and the sun check? Over.
Roger, AGS residuals, X minus 0.1, Y minus 0.2, Z minus 0.7 feet per second. And we used the primary guidance navigation system M86 for Delta VZ, which was 9.5 versus yours, which was 9.1. And I believe that may explain the difference. Sun check to 3 marks, noun 20 minus noun 22, plus 0.19, plus 0.16, plus 0.11, over.
Raj, copy. Looks great.
Houston loses Eagle's radio signal.
Columbia, Houston, we lost Eagle again. Have them retry the high-gain antenna. Over.
Eagle, this is Columbia. Houston lost you again. They're requesting another try at the high gain.
Eagle, Houston, we have you now. How do you read? Over.
Loud and clear.
Roger.
Yeah, I don't know what the problem was there. The steerable high gain antenna just started oscillating around and according to the needle, we're picking up a little oscillation right now, as a matter of fact.
Roger. We'll work on it.
Eagle's about to begin its descent to the lunar surface.
Our visual altitude checks are setting out at about 53,000 feet.
Suddenly, there's a very loud beeping alarm.
It's a 500 alarm, radar-related computer malfunction.
The switches are in the right position. They haven't been changed since pre-launch. Override the computer. Go to manual control and proceed to schedule lunar descent manually. Then back to computer control. See if that works. Okay. Looked like it worked. Try to get Houston.
Houston, we had a 500 alarm early in the program, went on manual to descent 1, proceeded on it, and we're back at auto again. Over.
Roger. We saw that, Buzz. Thank you much. Out.
Raj, I say again.
Eagle, Houston, we recommend you yaw 10 degrees right. It will help us on the high-gain antenna signal strength. Over. Eagle, Houston, if you read, you're go for power descent to the lunar surface.
Eagle, this is Columbia. They just gave you a go for powered descent.
Eagle, Houston, over. Eagle, Houston, over. Columbia, Houston, we lost them on the high-gain antenna again. Would you please, we're recommending they yaw right 10 degrees to reacquire communication with us.
Eagle, this is Columbia. You're go for powered descent initiation, and they recommend you yaw right 10 degrees and try the high gain antenna again. Eagle, you read Columbia?
Raj, we read.
Okay.
Eagle, Houston, we read you now. Your go for powered descent initiation. Over.
Roger. Understood. Deca gimbal AC closed. Circuit breaker. Command override off. Gimbal enable. Rate scale 25.
Eagle, Houston, your alignment is go on the abort guidance system. On my mark, 3 minutes, 30 seconds until ignition for powered descent.
Roger. Thrust translation 4 jets. Balance couple on. TCA throttle minimum. Throttle auto CDR. Propellant button reset. Prop button. Okay. Abort stage reset. Attitude control, 3 of them to mode control. Okay, mode control is set. Abort guidance system is reading 400 plus 1, standing by for engine arm descent.
Okay, what else is left to do here?
Engine arm descent, 40 seconds.
Okay, the override is at 5 seconds. Descent armed.
Another warning alarm begins sounding.
The altitude warning light's on. The landing radar must not be providing adequate data.
Ignore it. Proceed.
Proceed. 2, 1, 0.
Ignition.
Ignition, thrust 10%.
Just about on time.
Light is on, 24, 25, 26. Throttle up. Looks good.
Columbia, Houston, we lost them again. Tell them to use the omnidirectional antenna instead. Maybe that will keep our communications open.
Everything okay?
Holding steady.
Eagle, Houston lost contact with you again. They want you to switch to the Omni antenna.
Okay, we're reading what you relay to us, Mike.
Say again?
Okay, see if they've got me now. I got a good signal strength here.
You should have him now, Houston.
Eagle, we got you now. It's looking good. Over.
Okay, rate of descent looks good.
Eagle, Houston, everything's looking good here. Over.
Roger, copy.
Eagle, Houston, our recommendation is that after yaw round, use pointing angles, S-band pitch, -9, yaw plus 18.
Copy.
2 minutes into burn, going good.
Abort guidance system and primary guidance navigation systems agree very closely.
Reaction control system is good. No warning flags. Descent propulsion system pressure is good.
Roger.
Data on. Altitude's a little high.
Another alarm sounds.
What? Houston, I'm getting a little fluctuation in the AC voltage now.
Roger.
Could be our meter, maybe, huh?
Stand by. Looking good to us. Well, you're still good at coming up 3 minutes into power descent to lunar surface.
Okay. We went by our 3-minute point early. Looks like we're gonna land long. We're gonna miss our designated landing ellipse by 3 miles.
Okay, rate of descent looking real good. Altitude's right about on.
Our position checks us shows a little long from the planned landing area.
Roger. Copy.
Abort guidance system is showing about 2 feet per second greater descent rate than programmed.
Understood.
Altitude rate looks right down the groove.
Roger, about 3 seconds long. Rolling over to get better visual. Okay, now watch that signal strength.
Well, I think it's gonna drop.
You know, I tell you, this is much harder to do than it was in the simulator.
Keep it going, keep it going.
Eagle, Houston,
Okay, Houston, the ED batteries are go.
you are go to continue.
4 minutes into burn for power descent.
Roger, you are go. You are go to continued power descent to lunar surface. Repeat, you are go to continued power descent.
Roger.
All right, how do you look over there?
Okay. We got good landing radar lock on.
We got a radar lock on?
Yeah, getting good radar returns from the lunar surface.
Roger, we copy.
Got the Earth straight out our front window.
Sure do.
Another major program alarm sounds.
Program alarm, it's a 1202. What is that?
1202?
What is that? Let's incorporate the landing radar data. Houston, give us a reading on the 1202 program alarm. Houston. Houston.
If they tell us to abort, that sends us back up to the Columbia, and then that means
Houston.
Roger, we got you. Your go in spite of that alarm. Continue descent to lunar surface.
Roger.
Reduce your thrust 6 minutes, 25 seconds into the burn. Throttle down at 6 plus 25.
okay, looks like about 820.
Eagle, confirm. 6 plus 25. Throttle down.
Copy.
6 plus 25.
Another 1202 alarm sounds.
Eagle, Houston, we'll monitor your Delta H.
Was the Delta H reading coming down?
Yes, it's coming down beautifully.
Delta H.
Roger, it looks good now.
Roger, Delta H is looking good to us.
Whoa, throttle down.
Throttle down on time.
Roger, we copy throttle down.
Oh, you can feel it in here when it throttles down. Better than the simulator.
Roger.
Abort guidance system and primary guidance navigation system. Look real close.
Okay, no warning flags. Reaction control system is good. And descent propulsion system is good. Pressure is okay.
At 7 minutes into burn, you're looking great to us, Eagle.
Okay, I'm still a little slow on, so we may tend to lose the high gain antenna as we gradually pitch over. Let me try auto again and see what happens.
Roger.
Okay, looks like it's holding.
Roger, we got good data.
Okay, 7 minutes, 30 seconds into burn coming up. Landing should be a tad long. And I have a view out the window. I can see the lunar surface.
Altitude 16,000 feet.
Eagle, Houston, use descent 2 monitor to gauge fuel. Over.
Going to 2. Coming up on 8 minutes into burn.
Roger, stand by.
Altitude 13,500 feet. You're at 7,000 feet, looking good.
Eagle, you've got 30 seconds to initiate the approach phase program P64.
Roger.
Eagle, Houston, coming up to 8 minutes, 30 seconds. You're looking great.
Approach phase program P64 initiated.
We copy.
Okay, altitude's 5,000 feet. 100 feet per second descent rate is good. Going to check my attitude control. Attitude control is good.
Eagle, you're looking great. Coming up to 9 minutes into burn.
Manual attitude control is good.
Roger, copy. Eagle, Houston, you're go for landing. Over.
Roger, understand. Go for landing. Altitude 3,000 feet.
Okay, altitude 3,000 feet, descent rate 70 feet per second.
Copy.
Another program alarm sounds.
Program alarm 1201.
1201.
Roger, 1201 alarm. You're still go. Same type of alarm as before. We're go for landing.
Okay, altitude 2,000 feet at 50 feet per second.
Confirm. Altitude 2,000 feet.
The landing program is taking us right into a crater. Give me a landing point designator angle.
Pitch angle 47 degrees.
47. Up ahead, that's not a bad looking area. Altitude 1,000 feet, 30 feet per second.
Eagle, looking great. You're go for landing.
Pitch angle 35 degrees. 35 degrees. Altitude 750 feet. Coming down at 23 feet per second.
Okay,
700 feet, 21 feet per second down, 33 degrees pitch.
pretty rocky area.
600 feet down at 19 feet per second.
I'm gonna take over manual control.
540 feet, angle 30 degrees, down at 15 feet per second. Okay, 400 feet, descend at 9 feet per second, moving forward at 58 feet per second.
No problem.
350 feet, down at 4 feet per second. 330 feet, 3.5 down. Okay, you're pegged on horizontal velocity. Altitude 300 feet, down 3.5 feet per second. 47 feet per second forward. Oh, slow it up. 1.5 down. Ease her down. 270.
Okay, how's the fuel?
8%.
Okay, looks like a good area here.
You can see our shadow out there. 250 feet, down at 1.5, 19 forward.
Another warning alarm sounds.
Altitude and velocity warning lights on. 220 feet, 3.5 down, 14 forward.
Gonna put us right over that crater.
5.5 down.
I've got a good spot.
160 feet, 6.5 down. 5.5 down, 9 forward. You're looking good. 120, 100 feet, 6.5 down, 9 forward. 5% of fuel remaining.
Another alarm sounds.
Fuel quantity alarm is on. Okay, 75 feet, and it's looking good. Down a half, 6 forward.
60 seconds of fuel left.
Another alarm sounds.
Velocity alarm is on. 60 feet, down 2.5, 2 forward, 2 forward. That's good. 40 feet, down 2.5. Picking up some dust. 30 feet, 2.5 down. There's our shadow. 4 forward, 4 forward. Drifting to the right a little. 20 feet, down a half.
30 seconds of fuel left.
Drifting forward just a little bit. That's good. Contact light.
Shut down.
Okay, ignition stopped.
We copy you down, Eagle.
Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Roger, Tranquility. We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
You're looking good here.
Okay, let's get on with it.
End scene 1. Scene 2, Tranquility Base.
Columbia, Houston, Mike, they have landed at Tranquility Base. Eagle is at Tranquility, over.
Yeah, I heard the whole thing.
Good show.
Fantastic.
Hey, Houston, that may have seemed like a very long final phase. The auto-targeting was taking us right into a football field-sized crater with a large number of big boulders and rocks. It required us going in and flying manually over the rock field to find a reasonably good area.
Roger, we copy. It was beautiful from here, Tranquility, over.
We'll get to the details of what's around here later, but it looks like a collection of just about every variety, shape, angularity, granularity, about every variety of rock you could find. The color is, well, there doesn't appear to be too much of a general color at all. Over.
Roger, copy. Sounds good to us, Tranquility, over.
This 16G is just like the airplane.
Raj, Tranquility. Be advised, there are a lot of smiling faces in this room and all over the world.
Well, there are 2 of them up here.
Raj, that was a beautiful job, you guys.
Hey, don't forget one smiling face in the command module.
Raj.
And thanks for putting me on the relay, Houston. I was missing all the action. Tranquility Base, it sure sounded great from up here. You guys did a fantastic job.
Thank you. Just keep that orbiting base ready for us up there now.
Will do.
Tranquility, Houston, we have you pitched up about 4.5 degrees, over.
That's confirmed by a local observation.
Roger. Tranquility Base, Houston, all your consumables are solid. You're looking good in every respect. We copy the descent propulsion system venting. Everything is copacetic, over.
Thank you, Houston. And Houston, the guys who said we wouldn't be able to tell precisely where we are, they're the winners today. We were a little busy worrying about program alarms and things like that in the part of descent where we would normally pick our landing spot. And aside from a good look at several of the craters we came in over in final descent, I haven't been able to pick out the predetermined things on the horizon as a reference yet.
Raj, Tranquility, no sweat. We'll figure it out, over.
You might be interested to know that I don't think we notice any difference at adapting to 16G. It seems immediately natural to move in this environment.
Roger, Tranquility, we copy, over.
The area out the window is a relatively level plain with a large number of craters of the 5 to 50 foot variety, and some ridges which are small, 20 to 30 feet, I would guess, and literally thousands of little 1 to 2 foot craters in the area around us. There is a hill in view just about on the ground track ahead of us. Difficult to estimate, but might be half a mile or a mile.
Tranquility, we copy, over.
Sounds like it looks a lot better than it did yesterday during orbit at that very low sun angle. It looked rough as a corn cob then.
It was rough, Mike. over the target landing area, it was extremely rough, cratered, with a large number of rocks that were probably many larger than 5 to 10 feet in height.
I mean, when in doubt, land long.
And that's what we did. Houston, our mission timer is giving us a nonsense reading, and it isn't advancing. I'm gonna cycle the circuit breaker and see if that fixes it.
Roger.
And I cycled the circuit breaker, and now I have all 9s on the mission timer. And now it won't even reset from all 9s.
Roger. Tranquility Houston, we'll research this problem and get back to you.
Okay. I'd say the color of the local surface is very comparable to what we observed from orbit. It's pretty much without color. It's gray, a white chalky gray.
An alarm sounds.
Tranquility Houston, please vent the fuel and oxidizer pressure again. Over, it's building back up.
Okay. Oxidizer going on now.
Tranquility Houston, you can hold open both the fuel and aux vents now. Over.
Houston, we are?
Tranquility Houston, please vent the fuel. It's increasing rapidly. Over.
We showed 30 psi in the fuel and 30 in the oxidizer. Aren't these acceptable?
Roger, we're reading somewhat different than that. Stand by. Tranquility Houston, please take the fuel vent switch and hold it open. Over.
Houston, we are holding it open, indicating about 24 on board.
Roger.
Now indicating 20 psi on the fuel side.
Roger.
Now indicating 15 on
Roger. Tranquility Houston, if you haven't done so, you can release the fuel and aux vent switches now. Over.
Roger.
Another alarm sounds.
Tranquility Houston, we have an indication that the descent fuel helium heat exchanger is frozen up with some fuel trapped in the line between there and the valves, and the pressure we're looking at is increasing. Over.
Roger, understand.
Tranquility Base Houston, if you have not done so, please close both the fuel and aux vents now. Over.
They are closed.
Thank you.
From the surface, we cannot see any stars out the window, but at my overhead hatch, I can see the Earth. It's big, bright, and beautiful. Buzz is going to give a try at seeing some stars through the optics.
Roger, Tranquility, we understand. Must be a beautiful sight. Over.
Houston Tranquility, base is ready to go through the power down.
Roger, stand by. Tranquility Base, Houston, you can start your power down now. Over.
Roger. It's in progress.
We have a built-in rest period now and then scheduled 7 hours of sleep before EVA on lunar surface. I say let's ignore that and go directly to the EVA preparations. You concur?
Concur.
Houston Tranquility.
Go, Tranquility. Over.
Roger, our recommendation at this point is to move up EVA on the lunar surface. With your concurrence, starting about 8 o'clock this evening, Houston time. That's about 3 hours from now.
Tranquility Houston, but your schedule calls for meal, rest, and then 7 hours of sleep.
Houston Tranquility, understood, not necessary. Our recommendation is to advance EVA prep to 3 hours from now.
Stand by.
We will give you some time to think about that.
Tranquility Base Houston, we thought about it. We will support it. We're go at that time. Over.
Roger.
You guys will be getting primetime TV there.
I hope this little TV set on the Eagle works.
Us too. Tranquility, was your 8 o'clock Houston time a reference to opening the hatch or starting the prep for EVA at that time? Over.
That'd be hatch opening.
That's what we thought. Thank you much.
It might be a little later than that, but in other words, start the EVA prep in about an hour or so.
Houston, Columbia, just passed over the coordinates you gave me for Tranquility Base.
Roger, Columbia. How did Tranquility look down to there to you? Over.
Well, the area looks smooth, but I am unable to locate them. Repeat, unable to locate them. So I just picked out a distinguishable crater nearby and marked on it.
Roger.
It looks like a nice area, though. Hey, tell them to eat lunch before they go.
Roger. Copy. Hello, Tranquility Base, Houston. On our descent propulsion system venting and that fuel problem, our heat exchanger is cleared up. It appears that the ice has melted and we're in good shape now. Out.
Houston Tranquility, good news. Houston Tranquility, over.
Tranquility Houston, go ahead.
Roger, this is the lunar module pilot. I'd like to take this opportunity to ask every person listening in, whoever and wherever they may be, to pause for a moment and contemplate the events of the past few hours, and to give thanks in his or her own way.
Roger, tranquility brace.
Aldrin then reaches into a compartment and takes out a small piece of wafer and a tiny thimble-sized pouch of wine and gives himself communion. End scene 2. Scene 3, one small step.
Houston, this is Neil. How do you read?
Neil, this is Houston, loud and clear.
Houston, this is Buzz. How do you read?
Buzz, this is Houston, loud and clear. You guys are really coming in beautifully, over.
Very good.
Okay, now come the gymnastics.
Neil, this is Houston. What's your status on the hatch opening, over?
Everything is go here. We're just waiting on the cabin pressure to bleed, so to blow enough pressure to open the hatch. It's about 0.1 psi on our gauge now.
Sure would hate to tug on that hatch. Alternative would be to open the top one, too.
Roger, we're showing relatively static pressure in your cabin. Do you think you can open the hatch at this pressure of about 0.12 psi?
We're gonna try it.
Roger.
The hatch is coming open now.
Okay, about ready to go down and get some moon rock?
Armstrong nods, then begins to crawl backward toward the hatch. He begins the slow, intricate process of getting down on his knees and then maneuvering his feet backward out of the hatch and onto the ladder.
Okay, your backpack is up against the overhead stowage purse. All right, straight, to your left a little bit, plenty of room. Okay, you're lined up nicely. Toward me a little bit, down. Okay, now you're clear. All right, move to your, roll to your left. Okay, now you're clear. You're lined up on the platform. Put your left foot to the right a little bit. Okay, that's good. Roll left. Good.
Okay, now I'm gonna check my ability to ingress back into the lunar module.
Armstrong moves partially back into the lunar module.
That's good. You've got plenty of room to your left. It's a little close.
How am I doing?
You're doing fine.
Once Armstrong is almost back inside the lunar module, he crawls his way back outside again and onto the ladder.
Okay, Houston, I'm on the ladder.
Roger, Neil.
Okay, stand by, Neil.
Columbia, this is Houston. 1 minute and 30 seconds to footsteps on the lunar surface. All systems go, over.
Columbia, thank you.
Did you get the TV camera out?
I'm gonna pull it out now.
Armstrong reaches to the back side of the lunar module and pulls a lever which lowers the TV camera.
Houston, the camera came down all right.
This is Houston. Roger, we copy. Standing by for your TV.
Houston, this is Neil, radio check.
Neil, this is Houston. Loud and clear. Buzz, this is Houston. Radio check and verify TV circuit breaker in.
Roger. TV circuit breakers in and read you loud and clear.
Roger. And we're getting a beautiful picture on the TV.
You got a good picture?
There's a great deal of contrast in it, and it's currently upside down on our monitor, but we can adjust that and make out a fair bit of detail.
Armstrong begins descending down the ladder.
Okay, Neil, we can see you on the TV coming down the ladder now.
Armstrong jumps down from the last rung onto the footpad of the lunar module. He pauses, then jumps back onto the first rung of the ladder.
Okay, I just checked getting back up to that first step, Buzz. It's, the strut isn't collapsed too far, but it's adequate to get back up.
Roger, we copy.
It takes a pretty good little jump to get back on that first rung. I'm on the footpad of the lunar module now. The footpads are only depressed in the surface about 1 or 2 inches, although the surface appears to be very fine grained as you get close to it. It's almost like a powder. The ground mass is very fine. Okay, I'm gonna step off the lunar module footpad now. That's one small step for a man.
One giant leap for mankind.
The surface is fine and powdery. I can kick it up loosely with my toe. It does adhere in fine layers like powdered charcoal to the sole and sides of my boots. I can only go a small fraction of an inch, maybe eighth of an inch, but I can see my footprints on the tread in this fine sandy particle.
Neil, this is Houston. We're copying.
There seems to be no difficulty in moving around as we suspected. It's even perhaps easier than the simulations of 16G that we performed in various simulations of the ground. It's absolutely no trouble to walk around. Okay. The descent engine did not leave a crater of any size. It has about 1 foot clearance on the ground. We're essentially on a very level place here. I can see evidence of rays emanating from the descent engine, but a very insignificant amount. Okay, Buzz, want to bring down that camera?
I'm all ready. I think it's been all squared away and in good shape.
Aldrin lowers the camera to Armstrong.
Looking up at the lunar module, looking up at Buzz in the window, I can see everything very clearly. The light is sufficiently bright, backlighted into the front of the lunar module so that everything is clearly visible. All right, I'll step out and take some of my first pictures here.
Roger, Neil, we're reading you loud and clear. We see you getting some pictures. Waiting for you to get a quick contingency lunar soil sample in case of emergency evac. Neil, this is Houston. Did you copy about the contingency soil sample? Over.
Roger, I'm gonna get to that just as soon as I finish this picture series.
Okay, going to get the contingency sample there, Neil.
Right.
Armstrong walks to the back of the lunar module where Eagle's equipment bay is located. He grabs a contingency lunar soil sampler and sample container bag and commences to pick up and store various rocks.
Okay, that's good. Okay. Looks like it's a little difficult to dig through the initial crust.
This is very interesting. It's a very soft surface, but here and there, I run into a very hard surface that appears to be very cohesive material of some sort. I'll try to get some rocks in here, just a couple.
It looks beautiful from here, Neil.
It has a stark beauty all its own. It's like the high desert of the United States. It's different, but it's very pretty out here. Be advised that a lot of the rock samples out here, the hard rock samples, have what appear to be vesicles in the surface. Also, I am looking at one that appears to have some sort of embedded crystals.
Roger.
Oh, Houston, be advised. My oxygen is 81%. I have no warning flags.
This is Houston. Roger, Neil.
Are you ready for me to come out?
All set. Okay, you saw what difficulties I was having. I'll watch your backpack from underneath here.
Aldrin turns around and begins crawling backwards toward the hatch.
Okay, your backpack looks like it's clearing. Your toes are about to come over the sill. Now, drop your backpack down. There you go, you're clear. And laterally, you're good. You've got an inch clearance on top of your backpack.
Okay. You need a little bit of arching of the back to come down. How are my feet from the edge?
You're right at the edge of the ladder.
Okay. Back in. Now, a little foot movement to the ladder. Little arching of the back. Head comes up and clears the bulkhead without any trouble at all.
Looks good.
Okay. Now, I want to back up and partially close the hatch, making sure not to lock it on my way out.
A particularly good thought.
That's our home for the next couple of hours, and we want to take good care of it. Okay. I'm on the top step, and I can look down over the remote control unit and landing gear pads. It's a very simple matter to hop down from one step to the next.
Yes, I found it could be very comfortable, and walking is also very comfortable. You've got a few more steps and then a long one.
Okay.
Aldrin descends to the bottom rung and then jumps down to the footpad.
There you go.
Okay, now just do the same thing back up.
Aldrin tries to jump up to the bottom rung, but doesn't make it on the first try, slipping back down and scraping the shins of his spacesuit on the bottom rung. Aldrin tries again and successfully jumps up to the bottom rung.
There, you've got it.
That's a good last step.
Yeah.
Aldrin jumps back down to the footpad.
It's a beautiful view.
Isn't it something? Magnificent sight out here.
magnificent desolation. Looks like the secondary strut had some thermal effects on it. Right here, Neil.
Yes, I noticed that. That seems to be the worst, although there are similar effects all around.
Very fine powder, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Houston, we'll check our mobility now. Reaching down is fairly easy. I'm getting my suit dirty at this stage. The mass of the backpack does have some effect on inertia. There's a slight tendency I can see now to tip backwards due to the soft, very soft texture.
Armstrong goes behind the lunar module to get the main TV camera.
Can't say too much for visibility right here in the lunar module shadow. It looks like there's a surface of flat, rounded rock, and incidentally, these rocks have a very powdery surface.
Say again, please, Buzz. You're cutting out.
I say the rocks are rather slippery.
Roger.
Traction seems quite good. If I start to lose my balance in one direction, recovery is quite natural and very easy. And moving your arms up and down does not lift you off the surface. Not quite that light-footed.
I have the installation off the TV camera now, and it seems to be in pretty good shape.
Gotta be careful that you are leaning in the right direction that you want to go. Otherwise, you walk as if you're slightly inebriated. Hey, Neil, did I say we might see some purple rocks?
Find a purple rock?
Yep. Very sparkly fragments in places.
Okay, Houston, I'm gonna change TV lenses on you.
Roger, Neil.
Okay. Houston, tell me if you're getting a new picture.
Neil, Houston, that's affirmative. We're getting a new picture. You can tell it's a longer length focal lens, and for your information, all lunar module systems are go. Over.
For those who haven't seen it, I'll describe the plaque on the front of the lunar module. First, there are two hemispheres, one showing each of the two hemispheres of the Earth. Underneath it says, "Here men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon, July 1969 AD. We came in peace for all mankind." It has the crew members' signatures and the signature of the President of the United States.
Houston, how's that field of view going to be picked up by the TV camera? Too far away?
Neil, this is Houston. The field of view is okay. We'd like you to aim it a little more to the right. Over.
Okay, let's try it like that for now. Tell me if you've got a picture, Houston.
We've got a beautiful picture, Neil.
Houston, Columbia on the high gain antenna. Over.
Columbia, this is Houston, reading loud and clear. Over.
Yeah, reading you loud and clear. How's it going?
Roger, the EVA is progressing beautifully. I believe they're setting up the flag now.
Great.
I guess you're about the only person around who doesn't have TV coverage of the scene.
That's all right. I don't mind a bit. How does it look?
Armstrong steps away from the flag and raises his camera as Aldrin makes final adjustments to it. Aldrin then backs away from the flag and salutes it as Armstrong snaps his pictures.
Oh, it's beautiful, Mike. It really is.
End scene 3. Scene 4, lunar exploration.
I'd like to evaluate the various paces that a person can do traveling on the lunar surface. I believe I'm in your field of view. Is that right, Houston?
That's affirmative, Buzz.
Okay. You do have to be rather careful to keep track of where your center of mass is to avoid falling. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 steps to make sure you've got your feet underneath you. The color of my boots has completely disappeared now into this. Still don't know exactly what color to describe this other than a grayish coca color. It seems to be covering most of the lighter part of my boot with a very fine particle.
Aldrin goes to the equipment bay in the back of the lunar module and gets a camera. He moves back toward Armstrong, then plants his right boot deliberately on a pristine patch of the lunar surface. As he is lifting his boot, he takes a picture of his boot print. Armstrong has now moved farther away from the lunar module in order to collect bulk samples of moon rock. Aldrin continues taking pictures of his immediate surroundings.
Right in this area, there are 2 craters. The one that's right in front of me now, as I look off, is at about 11 o'clock. Position from the spacecraft is about 30 to 35 feet across. There are several rocks to boulders that are 6 to 8 inches across in size.
Aldrin now moves closer to the lunar module to inspect it for damage.
I'm now in the area of the -Y strut, taking some inspection photographs. How's the bulk sample coming, Neil?
Bulk samples just being sealed.
Houston, Columbia.
Columbia, this is Houston. Go ahead. Over.
Roger. No sightings of the lunar module again this time. I did see a suspiciously small white object whose coordinates are
Go ahead with the coordinates on the small white object.
0.3, 7.6, but it's right on the rim, the southwest rim of a crater. I think they would know it if they were on a place such like that. It looks like their lunar module would be pitched up quite a degree. It's on the southwest wall of a smallish crater.
Roger.
Houston, disregard. Don't communicate confusion about coordinates to Eagle. It will get them off their flight plan.
Roger.
Generally, the underneath part of the lunar module seems to have stood up quite well.
Both Aldrin and Armstrong continue inspecting the lunar module for damage.
Want to get some particular photographs of the bulk sample area, Neil? And Houston, Buzz here, I'm showing 3.78 PSI suit pressure, 63% oxygen, no warning flags, cooling adequate, slight warming of the fingers.
Roger, and Neil has 66% oxygen, no warning flags, minimum cooling, and the suit pressure is 3.82 psi.
Roger. Out.
Armstrong stops and turns around so that he's positioned between the lunar module and Aldrin. Armstrong takes a photograph of Aldrin and captures a reflection of himself and the lunar module in Aldrin's visor. After over 2 hours of exploration on the lunar surface, Armstrong and Aldrin prepared to make their way back to the Tranquility Base.
Buzz, how about that package we brought with us? Can you get that?
I can. Want it now?
Yes.
Aldrin reaches down and takes out a small packet of memorial items.
Houston, we are leaving behind on the moon a silicon disc etched with goodwill messages from 73 nations on Earth. Also, we brought along with us and are leaving behind a few more things. An Apollo 1 patch commemorating
Gus Grissom.
Ed White.
And Roger Chaffee.
the astronauts who died in the 1967 launch pad fire.
A Soviet medal commemorating Vladimir Komarov, who was killed at the end of the Soyuz 1 flight when the parachutes on his spacecraft failed.
A Soviet medal honoring Yuri Gagarin, the first man to orbit the Earth, who was recently killed in an aircraft accident.
And finally, a small gold olive branch identical to the ones that we're carrying for our Apollo 11 wives.
Roger.
Aldrin takes a long last look at the packet, then tosses it beside Armstrong.
We also have on board in the cabin pieces of the original Wright brothers plane. We thought it only fitting that they accompanied us on this flight.
Roger that.
Armstrong raises his head and then slowly turns completely around to take in one last view of the lunar landscape. He looks pensively down again at the packet, then up at the ladder. He approaches the ladder, grasps the handrail with both hands, and jumps up to the first rung. He takes a second look around and then slowly begins to ascend the ladder. End scene 4. Scene 5, the eagle has wings.
Columbia, this is Houston. Over.
Roger, Columbia on Omni C Charlie. How do you read?
Roger, Columbia. This is Houston. Reading you loud and clear on Omni Charlie. The crew of Tranquility Base is back inside their base, repressurized, and they're in the process of doffing their personal life support systems. Everything went beautifully. Over.
Hallelujah.
As Aldrin and Armstrong close up on the lunar module, Aldrin sees that a circuit breaker has broken off the instrument panel.
Houston Tranquility, do you have a way of showing the configuration of the circuit breaker for power to the ascent engine? Over. The reason I'm asking is because the end of it appears to be broken off. Over.
Roger. We copy. Stand by, please. Tranquility Base, this is Houston. Our telemetry shows the ascent engine circuit breaker in the open position at the present time. It must be closed, repeat, closed, to lift off from the lunar surface. Until we figure this out, we want you to leave it open until it is scheduled to be pushed in, which will be just prior to ignition. Over.
Roger. Over.
Tranquility Base, Houston. So I want to let you guys know that since you're an hour and a half over your timeline, we're all taking a day off tomorrow.
I don't blame you a bit.
That was a real great day, guys. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. You couldn't have enjoyed it as much as we did.
Armstrong reaches up and turns a valve to jettison waste and used equipment.
Tranquility, Houston. We just observed your equipment jettisoned on the TV, and the passive seismic experiment recorded shocks when it hit the surface. Over.
You can't get away with anything, can you?
No, indeed. We'd like to say from all of us down here in Houston, and really from all of us in all the countries in the entire world, we think that you've done a magnificent job up there today. Over.
Thank you very much.
It's been a long day.
Yes, indeed. Get some rest there and have at it tomorrow.
Armstrong and Aldrin take time to sleep while Mission Control troubleshoots the circuit breaker problem.
Columbia, good morning from Houston.
Good morning, Houston.
Hey, Mike, how's it going this morning?
I don't know yet. How's it going with you?
Real fine here. Columbia, when you are ready, re-request P00 and accept. We'll shove the state vector in for you right away. Okay, coming in now, Columbia. We're going to keep you a little busy there. As soon as we get the state vector in, we'd like you to go ahead and do a P52 option 3 on this night pass. And then when you come around on the other side there, we'll give you some landmark tracking information.
Okay.
And for your information, we're also going to have Tranquility Base do a P52 tracking when you come around the next time.
Okay. You've updated your information as to the lunar module's position, and this is your best estimate of where it's located. Is that correct?
Columbia, that's a negative.
Wait, you've given up looking for the exact position of the lunar module.
Affirmative. We want this as a fix for your orbital plane.
But the rendezvous. All right, fine, understood. Thank you.
Tranquility Base, Houston, over.
Good morning, Houston. Tranquility Base, over.
Roger, loud and clear. And how is it resting up there?
Fine.
Roger, copy, Buzz. We got a couple of changes to your surface checklist here. Minor changes in the checklist. The main one being that we do not want the rendezvous radar kept on during the ascent. We think that this will take care of some of the overflow of program alarms that you were getting during descent.
Okay. And any overnight update on the situation with the broken circuit breaker?
Still working on it. Columbia, Houston, over. Columbia.
Houston, Columbia.
Roger, Columbia. We'd like a cryogenic tank stir, all 4 tanks, and the standard 1 minute, over.
In work.
And do you have any torquing angles from the P52?
Torquing angles when you're ready.
Columbia, Houston, go ahead.
Roger, stars 25 and 42, star angle difference 5 zeros. Now 93 plus 00165 plus 00186 minus 00039, time of torquing 121.15, over.
Columbia, Houston, we copy. Thank you.
And cryostor complete.
Roger. Thank you, Columbia. Tranquility Base, Houston, request you go ahead and start the warm-up on the rendezvous radar.
Roger.
Tranquility Base, Houston, Columbia will be overhead at 122 plus 22 plus 51. Over.
Roger.
An alarm sounds.
Houston, we have 4 out of 8 talkbacks indicating red. We still have the circuit breaker out. Repeat, out. as of right now, and we are ready to proceed with the hot fire test of the thrusters. Is it normal to have these 4 red warning flags?
Tranquility Base, Houston? We think that's okay.
Think.
Go ahead and reset them and press on with the hot fire of the thrusters. Over.
Roger. They're reset.
Columbia, Houston, request P00 and accept, and we'll send some state vectors up to you.
Okay, going P00 and accept.
Houston Tranquility. I used Capella, and I'm wondering if it would be better to use Alfred star number 1. It might be a little closer. However, it would delay things a little since I'd have to designate the radar out of the way. Over.
Tranquility, Roger. We copy. Stand by. Columbia, we're having a little trouble getting the state vector into your computer. Request high gain, pitch -20, yaw plus 150. Over. Tranquility, Houston, we'd prefer to save the time. Press on with Capella. Over.
Roger.
And Tranquility, Houston, the reaction control system check looked mighty fine to us.
It looked good up here.
Columbia, Houston, over. Columbia, Houston, over. Columbia, Houston in the blind. High gain, pitch -20, yaw plus 150.
Houston Tranquility. Could you give me the time of ignition portion of the ascent pad so I can load it in for P57? Over.
Tranquility, Roger. Stand by. We want to wait on that P57 until just prior to ignition. Over.
Roger.
Columbia, Houston, over. Columbia, Houston, over. Tranquility, Houston, I have your lunar module ascent and co-elliptic sequence initiation data pads when you are ready to copy.
We're ready to copy.
Roger. Lunar module ascent pad. Time of ignition, 1:24:22, noun 76, plus 0017. Your lunar module weight is 10,387. Over.
Say again, cross range and noun 76.
Roger. Your cross range for noun 76. By the way, we may update this later, but now it is plus 0017. Over.
Roger. Readback follows. Lunar module ascent pad. Time of ignition 1:24:22. Noun 76 plus 0017. Lunar module weight is 10,387. Go.
Tranquility, Houston, you read back correct. And Tranquility, no need for gyro compensation. It's a go.
Roger. Understand.
Columbia, Houston, over. Columbia, Houston in the blind. Request high gain antenna. Pitch -30, yaw plus 170. Over.
Houston, Columbia on the high gain antenna. Over.
Roger, Columbia. We still need to finish your state vector uplink there. And I have your co-elliptic sequence initiation and terminal phase initiate times, and also the liftoff time of Eagle.
Go ahead, ready to copy.
Lunar module ascent liftoff time, 1:24:22. Your co-elliptic sequence initiation time of ignition, 1:25:19. Your time of ignition of terminal phase initiate, 1:26:57. Columbia, Houston, over.
Roger, I read back liftoff 1:24:22, CSI 1:25:19, TPI 1:26:57. Over.
Columbia, Houston, Roger, you read back correct.
Hey, how's the team in Houston today? Y'all primed and raring to go?
You bet you there, Mike.
Good.
Columbia, Houston, about 3 minutes to launch off surface, and I have your consumables update.
Ready to copy.
Roger. Reaction control system total -7%, Alpha -12%, Bravo plus 4.5, Charlie -7, Delta -6.5. Your hydrogen total -1.4 pounds, oxygen plus 1.7. Over.
Whoever figured out those hydrogens and oxygens a couple of days ago must have known what they were doing.
Well, I think I read that oxygen wrong. It is plus 17 pounds.
Roger, still close.
Eagle and Columbia, our congratulations for yesterday's performance, and our prayers are with you for the liftoff and rendezvous. Over.
Thank you, Houston.
Thank you.
Glad to have all you big room full of people up there looking over our shoulders.
We had a lot of help down there, Houston. And Houston, Tranquility Base is going to give you a few final comments with regards to the geology here. We landed in a relatively smooth crater field of circular secondary craters, most of which have raised rims irrespective of their size. The ground mass throughout the area is very fine sand to a silt. I'd say the thing that would be most like it on Earth is powdered graphite.
Tranquility, Houston, Roger.
Yesterday I said this crater was about the size of a football field, and I have to admit it was a little hard measuring coming in, but I thought it might just fit into the Astrodome as we came by it. Over.
Tranquility Base, Houston, we copy. Thank you very much. And Tranquility Base, we're through with the ranging. You can take out your S-band function switch to off/reset.
Roger.
I wonder. Houston Tranquility, I think I have a fix on the broken circuit breaker for the ascent engine.
Tranquility, Houston, the circuitry suddenly looks real fine on the ascent engine circuit breaker.
Yes, but will it hold and not break?
Tranquility Base, Houston.
Go ahead.
Roger. Eagle's looking real fine to us down here. We have a fairly high confidence that we know the position of the lunar module. However, it is possible that we may have a plan change. But in worst case, it would be up to 30 feet per second. And of course, we don't expect that at all.
Okay.
Houston, Columbia on Omni D Delta, over.
Columbia, Houston. Roger. Loud and clear. If you would like to take it down, we have the latest estimated position of Tranquility Base. Over.
Estimated. Okay, go ahead.
Roger. It's just west of West Crater, Juliet, 0.5, 7.7. Over.
Understand that it is just west of the crater, which is at Juliet 0.5 and 7.7. Is that correct?
Columbia, Houston. That is correct.
Okay, thank you, Houston.
Tranquility Base, Houston.
Go ahead.
Roger. Just a reminder here. We want to make sure that you leave the rendezvous radar circuit breakers pulled open to avoid a computer overload. However, we want the rendezvous radar mode switch in the lunar guidance computer just as it is on Surface 59.
Okay.
Our recommendation is primary guidance and navigation system, and you're cleared for takeoff.
Roger, understand. We are number 1 on the runway.
Roger.
Aldrin presses a button on the instrument panel and nothing seems to happen.
Houston, we're not sure that we got the number 2 tank to fire. It's still showing a high pressure.
We confirm that. Try it again.
Okay, we'll go number 2 again.
Roger, we concur.
Aldrin presses the button again.
Houston, number 2 tank did not fire. Repeat, did not fire. We got number 2 reading 3050 PSI and number 1 reading, 3000 PSI. So I'm not sure that's really indicative that the tank 2 valve didn't go. Over.
We copy and we agree.
Okay. I assume then we're go for liftoff and we'll proceed with the ascent feed.
Roger, that's correct. And we'll go ahead and watch Tank 2. If Tank 2 doesn't decrease, we'll tell you to close the ascent feeds and open the shutoffs. Over.
Okay. At present, ascent feeds are open and shutoffs are closed.
Roger.
And I've got the cross feeds on.
Tranquility Base, everything looks good here, and we assume the steerable high-gain antenna is in track mode auto.
Roger. It is in track mode auto.
Roger.
And both EDI batteries are go.
Tranquility Base, Houston, Roger.
Rate scale 25.
25.
ATT translation 4 jets. Balance couple on.
Balance couple on.
Thrust translation controller assembly jets. Prop push button reset. Abort stage reset.
Reset.
Deadband minimum.
Min.
ATT control to mode control. Mode control auto, both.
Auto, auto.
Okay, Houston, we're standing by.
Eagle, Houston, you're looking good to us.
Roger.
Okay, master arm on.
Master arm is on. At 5 seconds before ignition, I'm going to get abort stage and engine arm indicators. You're going to get proceed.
Right.
And that's all.
Confirmed. Okay, here we go. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Abort stage, engine arm, ascent, proceed.
The Eagle separates from the descent module and lifts off.
We're off.
The Eagle has wings.
End of play.